What is good, Tesla family? It's Ray J back with another video, and in this one, I'm going to be talking about the one and only Tesla stock and what you should be looking after for the future. I'm also going to do some in-depth technical analysis and give you guys my price prediction for tomorrow and talk about why I believe Tesla is looking pretty bearish right now. We just ended up breaking below very strong demand areas, and this thing is just not looking good. So I'm going to talk about where the share price could end up going, what the big factors are that are affecting Tesla, what the news is saying, how the market may end up moving as well and affect Tesla too. Now, before I break anything down about the markets, what the headlines are saying about Tesla and Tesla's share price, I do have to mention a couple of things before starting. Firstly, I'm not a financial planner. Take none of this as financial advice whatsoever. And also, if you guys can, please smash the like button if you want to see more videos like this. It not only benefits me, it benefits the entire Tesla community as a whole. And the last thing is, if you guys can, please check out the Webull link down below and in the description. If you sign up for Webull, the link down below, and deposit any amount of money into the account, you're guaranteed up to 12 free stocks, each worth up to $2,000. And the best part is any could be a free Tesla share, a free Apple share, or a mix of all of them. It's a limited time offer. The offer ends in a week. Check it out before they run out. With that out of the way, let's get on with the video. Tesla's down 6.84% for the day today alone, and this thing is not looking good, to be frank with you. So I say this because of the fact that I mentioned this demand zone. This was between 180 and about 176 to 177, just around there. And Tesla had to actually bounce right here, or else this thing would come tumbling down. Instead, we did not get a big bounce, and this was despite the fact that a lot of institutions on Friday were loading up on calls. They were buying very big long positions very far out too. Lots of institutions are even losing money on Tesla. And instead, it did not matter. This thing continued to come down. Now, it did come down because of a mix of many things. The first thing is there's lots of negative articles, lots of negative pieces of news coming out involving Tesla. The overall market is playing a role, and you could even argue that Elon Musk is playing somewhat of a role. I wouldn't say that his role is that strong in this though, but overall, guys, the market is very future looking, and I want to talk about how on earth the future is also playing a role and why Tesla is dropping how it is. Now, before I actually get into more details about all what's going on with like Tesla's share price, I got to talk about what the data is showing us, because right now Tesla's looking very weak compared to SPY, compared to the QQQ. Look at that price pairs ratio, the lowest we have seen in the last 2 years. We've never seen it this low. That's not a good sign whatsoever. This is a sign that Tesla is just very weak. The market's not even helping Tesla hold up, and this thing is likely going to continue to see more weakness given what the trend is telling us. On top of that, I mean, there's no update from institutions or anything like that. We also have a lot of volume zones right over here. This 167 zone, we could see that there was more volume coming in, but it's not as strong as this like 175, 176 level. This is where Tesla's very big bounces were happening. This is a sign, and this thing's going to have more room to come down as more panic is coming in. Lots of people are selling, and the sellers are gaining the edge over the stock. Historically, Tesla's green about, let me see, 51% of the time on Tuesdays. This does not matter as much because of the fact that when it comes to how Tesla moves, right now this thing is in a very different situation. It does not matter that Novembers tend to be very green for Tesla. This thing is just in a very big sell-off phase. We are seeing more and more investors capitulate. Now, even though the short interest was coming down, it is starting to spike a little bit, guys, and this is likely going to continue to go up as shorts are piling in. They're going to have a lot of fun bringing this thing down, which I believe is likely going to happen. On top of that, we are dropping on high volume. That's not a good sign. This means that the selling pressure is strong. And when you actually look at, let me find it, the shorts volume percentage, this is likely going to start coming up even harder and harder, because what's going on is the sellers are coming in, the shorts are piling in, and the bullish volume is not even helping the stock for the most part. So I do anticipate that the sellers and the shorts are going to gain even more of an edge over the stock, and the short volume percentage should start going up. Now, part of the reason why Tesla is dropping is because of the fact that, look, the news is talking about this recall on Tesla. And I mentioned previously, it's not even a real recall. All they have to do is a big over-the-air software update is going to fix it. So it makes no sense to even call it a recall. Yet the market, the media, they like to actually push this narrative. They're saying it's the 19th recall this year. This is leading to headaches for investors. I wouldn't even call it that, so it doesn't make a lot of sense. Is it an issue though? They are going to fix it, guys. So it's not the end of the world. But at the end of the day, there is lots of fun because of this. On top of that, there was actually an incident that happened involving a Tesla. Hopefully that the people that were affected did not necessarily their relatives are okay, and I really wish the best for everyone that was affected. That's really what I can say about this. I don't want to go into any more like full on details, but it's a very, very hard thing. And what's happening in these articles is they're talking about the fact that, oh, Tesla has these recalls, they're having all these issues, they're pushing a completely different narrative. They're not trying to like imply that Teslas are bad cars, they're not safe, they have recalls, this and that, and it's just not helping the stock whatsoever. Now, the truth is, as you guys know, Tesla has been ranked as one of the safest cars out there, the Tesla Model S in particular, and I'm still very bullish because of that. And I also believe that, look, accidents happen to every single car out there, no matter what the brand is. It could happen to anyone. So we can't just throw hands solely at Tesla. If you look at the stats, Teslas tend to be relatively safe. I could go into more detail about that later on, but I just don't want to spend too much time on that. But, anyways, we're also seeing a lot of the virus spreading in China. We're seeing more and more of these lockdowns. Once again, not good. And we could actually see more stringent lockdowns in Shanghai. Once again, that's not good for the economy. It's not good for the USA. It's not good for Tesla whatsoever. This could even affect their production. As of right now, we're not seeing signs of it actually happening yet, but it could end up happening, which is leading to more FUD. On top of that, we're seeing more and more articles just absolutely bashing Tesla, saying Tesla could hit $100 soon. Tesla's going to crash. Tesla could hit new lows and this and that. And the truth is, I don't want to necessarily trivialize these articles and say that they're completely useless, because they're not. I mean, there is a possibility. There is a possibility for Tesla to come down to these low levels, but the news that's spreading is leading to more fear from these investors, and this is playing a big role and why this thing is dropping. On top of that, the market tends to be very forward looking, and we are anticipating not the strongest of earnings for 2023. So the market is trying to price in a lot of those things, especially for the tech sector. And the market moves in cycles. As I mentioned previously, the market moves in these big cycles where the small caps tend to be some of the first ones to take big hits. Now it's transitioning into the mega caps. So mega caps like Tesla, like Amazon, even Apple are starting to take some big hits too. Apple, however, had a relatively strong earnings report, so that's part of the reason why Apple's not crashing as hard as other mega caps out there. But Tesla is taking a hit, and it's likely to continue this way. Now, when it comes to Elon Musk, I don't truly know if he's going to be selling more. I don't really expect him to. However, I really don't like to say this, but the truth is, Musk has been just talking a lot about politics. He's been talking a lot about Twitter, which, in my opinion, is fine because he does have the right to say what he wants. I mean, that's just how I feel. He could say the things he wants to say, but the truth is, the decisions he makes for the things he says, they do have costs, right? Everything has a cost. We live in a world of trade offs. So because of that, I mean, if he's not tweeting as much about Tesla and he's talking about politics and Twitter and all these other things, it's not looking that great in the eyes of investors, because investors want him to put all of his focus, or a lot of his focus, more on Tesla, and we're not actually seeing signs of that. He's just so much more fixated on other things, which is, like I said, I mean, I'm not against it in total, but as a Tesla investor, this does make me a little bit concerned, at least to some degree. Now, when I say I'm concerned, it's because of the fact that this will affect the sentiments of other investors, and this is actually contributing to the capitulation. Now, for me personally, though, like from my own perspective, I'm not worried. Even if he does not tweet as much about Tesla, I'm not as worried, because I know for a fact the company is going to make a comeback. I know they're going to kill it with deliveries in the future. I know their robotics, their AI, their full self-driving technology is going to do very well, and I'm very bullish long term. So that's why I look at this as a very good opportunity to start buying these dips at these low prices, because in the long term, I could see this thing easily hit crazy high numbers. Many hundreds, if not thousands a share are still very possible. But for the short term, there's likely going to be some pain. So looking at this from a Fibonacci standpoint, I'm going to actually transition into this chart. You could see that from the way I drew it out, we do have, I mean, it really depends on where you start, but you could argue that a golden pocket's around, this is where the 0.618 is. It's around like 163 to about 155. However, we don't have major support around here. Now, what else is worth noting is you guys could see that Tesla was bouncing like crazy right about here. This zone right here, this was back in like, I think this was 2020. These are like 2020 levels we're talking about. Very interesting. But that's around this like 127 to about 145 zone. If this thing does not hold 150, the psychological level, which is where we do have a small demand zone, it's historically not as strong though. We have very strong demand around this range right here. So we could see Tesla come down to like 136, 140. if this thing does not hold 150, right? I want to just warn everyone now instead of making a video like right before it happens, if it does happen. Now, before we talk about like 136, 130 and those levels, I want to talk about the next key level for Tesla, and that's going to be between 155 and 150. So that's the level I'm going to be watching if this thing does continue to come down, because like I said before, it's just not looking that good. This thing is just continuing to come down over and over and over again, and we don't have too much very strong support to really help this thing hold its levels. It's likely going to continue to come down, guys. I think a lot of people are starting to panic. They're starting to capitulate, and we are going to see selling pressure continue. Now, being net bearish does not mean that this thing has to just continue crashing on a daily basis, but the overall trend is still being respected. So what I could do is I could actually switch to the 4 hour, and I could actually draw out a trend line. So I think the 4 hour is maybe the 2 hour would be better actually. I was wondering if I had like a 3 hour, that would be a little bit better. But anyways, looking at Tesla, all right, this is what the trend is looking like. I'm just drawing this very broadly. We could get a retest of the upper trend line, but overall the trend still looks bearish. Now we could actually draw it out like this, draw another trend line just like this, and this is the channel Tesla seems to be in, right? So this is a sign that, look, it's just not looking too good. I'm trying to get this right. That's close enough. Anyways, you guys understand my point. This thing is likely going to stay in this channel. What I could see happening is we could get a small pop, maybe try to push to like 174. But even if we touch 174, that's like the max this thing would go to. And it's likely going to just continue to come down again and again and again. And we're going to slowly see it channel back and forth like this, all the way down to that 155 to 150 level. This is what the trend is telling us. And we're going to have to see if we could get a big bounce at 150, in my opinion, because overall, if it doesn't hold that level, like I said before, guys, the 130 to 136 level is also going to be a very big demand zone. So it's unfortunate, guys, but this is what the charts are telling us. It looks pretty darn bearish. But when it comes to it being bearish, we could see a small bounce. And I just want to note that I'm still net bearish, at least for the medium term, for the next few weeks, next few months or so, however long it takes for Tesla to continue to plummet. For the long term, I'm still very bullish. But like I said, even if we push up just a little bit, maybe we hit like 172 or so, maybe 173, I don't know, around this area, depending on how high we go. 172.7, we're going to likely continue to come down as the day goes on, just like this. And we could see this thing just tumble down more and more and more in a pattern that looks somewhat like this, right? But the bottom line is it's still very bearish looking. It's just not looking good whatsoever. For tomorrow, I mean, it's very hard to predict from this point because Tesla's not even moving with the markets. It literally just sold off today. It just sold off for almost the entire day, making new low again and again and again. New lows just kept on coming. I mean, it's looking pretty weak. For tomorrow, maybe we bounce just a little bit. I don't even think it's going to be that strong. Now, like 170 is going to act as resistance, not to mention 172. We have now some pretty low levels of resistance, so that's not looking good. If we could maybe retest 170, maybe 172, I mean, that's going to be a little bit tricky. That's going to be a very good entry point for a lot of people that want to play puts if they are watching the chart in real time. However, like I said, it's just not looking very good. It's likely going to just continue to tumble down. Even if we hit like 170 to 172, I wouldn't be surprised if we reject off that pretty quickly and we slowly start to tumble down and we slowly come all the way back down to about 160, followed by the 150s relatively soon. So it's not looking good. That's the bottom line. There's not like really anything major happening to the markets tomorrow. We do have the FOMC minutes actually coming out on Wednesday. And I think I said something wrong yesterday. I mentioned that Powell is speaking. I don't actually think he's talking. It's just the minutes report, but it doesn't matter, guys. There's nothing like really major happening to the markets for tomorrow. We do have Thanksgiving off. The market's going to be closed and the market's only going to be open for a couple of hours on Friday. So overall, there's not a whole lot of time. There's not a whole lot of volume right now. And if the whole market does start coming down, guys, it's also going to be bad for Tesla because you have to note that SPY is now in this channel right here is getting tighter and tighter. And we are going to likely see it come down from a fib perspective. I actually ran a Fibonacci retracement, the next key Fib level is going to take us to about that 388 level. So watch that very carefully over the next couple of days. The trend still looks more bearish than bullish. If you guys look at it, we're still continuing to make these new lows over and over again. Even though we saw a small bounce today, it still did not hit that like 397 level that we saw on Friday. It's still downtrending. And because of this could actually add to the selling pressure on Tesla. I hate to say it, but it is the truth. Not just for SPY, but also for the QQQ. This thing's approaching 280 to 279. Once again, guys, looking pretty bearish. So with that said, I have to be honest with everyone. The truth is what sets us free. So Tesla is likely either we get a small bounce tomorrow since we are kind of oversold and then we continue to sell off, or we just sell off and we just continue to tumble down regardless. Right now, there's not a clear sign of a bounce, so I wouldn't be surprised if either happened. But at the end of the day, I'm anticipating another continuation of the sell off. And like I mentioned, guys, my target levels like that 150 to 155 zone. Please watch it very carefully. Thank you all for listening. Have a great rest of the day. Please enjoy the rest of it. Watch some soccer or do what you have to do. I'll see you guys in the next one. Tesla to the moon because the long-term future is still incredibly bright. And peace out.